and welcome everyone to Witch and Womb's weekly series called Witches in the World, where we interview, highlight, and honor amazing women doing amazing things throughout our world. And we end each interview with a meditation, a ritual, or a sacred spell to close our circle and just integrate all of the information. And today I'm so excited because I have the pleasure of speaking with one of my healers and one of my guidesses, Marcela Veron, the creator of Sacred Feminine Medicine. She is just so incredible. I really credit her to putting me on the path to really embracing my inner witch. Just to give you an overview, she is a sacred feminine healing arts practitioner. She's a mentor and intuitive and an essence and embodiment coach. She helps women who want to express their inner beauty and deepen their relationships with their own essence, and then also help them find the soul partnership that they really want. And on top of all of that, she also helps women find their feminine magic, which is exactly what she did for me. So welcome, Marcela. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Alex. I'm so glad to be here. I'm so excited actually to be in front of you and in front of your tribe, supporting you and the magic, right?
Absolutely.
So powerful.
I'm just like I said, I'm so excited that you're here because, I've been reviewing, a lot has happened for the last year for me. And for those of you watching that don't know, my husband and I, we went on a year-long road trip. And when we got back, I was very lost in what my next step was. I didn't know what I was supposed to do with my life. What am I meant for? What is the next step for me? And the only thing I did know was that I knew I needed to connect with my feminine essence on a deeper level. So of course I go out and I'm just Googling, feminine essence, divine connection, mission, like just the most ridiculous term. And Marcela comes up, and I think we had one conversation, and I was like, absolutely, I want to work with you. And we worked together for several months, and she really helped me find this inner magic. I think it was even in one of our sessions, I was like, oh my God, I'm writing spells. I'm like, I don't even know where spells come from, but they're there.
Yes, I remember your magic coming through, and a lot of this, I love Witch and Womb is so potent and powerful for you, your essence, your energy, the mystery, the mystique, the spiritual that comes through you, right? And as you were diving into that, really, being held in that space, oh, I just love the beauty and the grace and the power and the grace and grit right through that was so potent.
That was such a powerful time for me to really connect with myself. And I had the time and space to do that. So I feel very blessed by that. But before we get into all of your magic and all of your medicine, why don't you give our viewers just kind of an overview of who are you? What is your medicine? How did you get on this path? Give us all the information that we want.
Wow. So yes, it's definitely been a dance and a journey, a voyage, right, through my own awakening, my own spiritual ability to really tap into my spiritual gifts, my magic. And I would say, I remember when I was in my early 20s, really early, really listening to a pulse of wanting to know more. I knew there was, energy beyond and why I was here. And it really brought me into the metaphysics. So I was into astrology, numerology, that danced actually from a powerful reconnection to I was doing a women's studies class in college. And she was bringing in sacred text and symbology. And it was just parts of me opened up, parts that I already knew was this is who I am. And starting that journey put me on the path of really honing my intuition. Because at this point, I already knew I was intuitive. I knew things would come to me for the benefit of myself and others, but just holding space for that. And I remember that brought me the dance of tarot, right? Or tarot. I'm from the East Coast, so we would say tarot, and coming out to the West Coast, more people say tarot. So whatever comes out of my mouth is what it is, right? And
I say tarot.
I know it's like tarot, and it like was really helping me hone my spiritual journey. And I remember also like this other time that as I was working with the sacred arts in that way, and not like it was something that I thought everybody was doing, right? So like I remember talking to people like, yeah, you know, the Mercury's retrograde or this and that, and people were like, what are you talking about? Right? And it was something that made me realize first of all the power of the work, and also that there wasn't access, right? Like what was the thing that was holding people back was part of my dance. But I would say another thing that struck me in this, you know, like this deeper relationship with myself, through the metaphysical connection and my magic, I was still kind of feeling a little bit like lost in some ways, like not really fully who I am. And like having deeper value was not necessarily, you know, brought to me or was in my life, like through friends, family, culture, things like that. But I remember reading an article on the way, on this trip to in New Jersey, like across the state, and coming across this article on belly dance. And it was like another thing that just hit me, like I knew it, like I read the article, like I already knew it. It was the first time I read about belly dance. And I remember like saying, this is what I have to do. This is like, there's something about this feminine magic that, you know, that even though I didn't use those words at the time, it was just a feeling, an experience that I had to go and explore. And at the time, there wasn't really internet at the time. Like you got to look at the phone book, and like internet was really, really new. And, finding like places, like it was like 30 minutes away from my house or 45 minutes away from my house, like someone that was teaching belly dance, and like making the trek over there, and the costuming, the enhancing. And what I didn't realize at the time, what I was being called was to connect to the goddess, the energy of the goddess. And that then like start this deeper dance of embodiment and healing, also places of my own sacred sexuality, or, you know, sexual potency, and also like what was embedded, like shame, and just, you know, there's so much going into the womb, right? Into the dance of the womb. It was, you know, womb dance. And so I would go in and out. So like I would go in deeper, and then something like would pull me back. And at this point, I was working in social work. I was doing counseling. I was dancing to like where I want to do my master's, or where do I begin, because I was into psychology, bio, all this. So I was like in this whole journey of like exploration. And what called me, I started social, like I started actually neuroscience masters, and I was like, that's not it. Then I started transpersonal psychology, which was great, but it wasn't really the thing. I was like, there's something there, like it would, like all the breadcrumbs, right? All the like listening to the impulse. So that's what I want to say, is like listen to that deeper impulse, right? What's the call? And like really feeling a tuning. It's like tuning in, and we lose that. Right? Or it's something we really need to harness and cultivate, but it's part of our intrinsic nature. Not everybody has so much access to that source. So if you have it, like cultivate it. And I remember, I know this kind of feels like a long story, but I'm feeling the dance to share. And I was doing the metaphysicals, I was doing tarot. I started doing a little bit more professionally. I had some people that I was doing readings for, and then I got connected to feng shui. So this energy of the space, I was doing it, like I started reading all about it, and then like I started getting in, after I did a visioning board, this is before the secret, or something, I did like this big visioning, and like being attracted to this mandala that I put in this area of abundance. And I started getting in the mail practitioner programs of feng shui, right? Like one particular one that I was like, this is it, right? Like I just knew that. And then I went to the dance of feng shui, and we're using with space, and how that evolved with me is using your space as an altar, right? Using our space is a container to shapeshift into. So like really having this deeper awareness that your space is also a reflection of you. But the women that were coming to me for me to support them were all about looking for a soulmate, right? Their soul partner, and which was amazing. So in a sense of like, I could feel the pulse of like what was needed to heal, what needed to shift. But what I knew is even if I helped them in this space, they needed to like learn how to embody it. Right. And I had to do that more in my own life. So it brought me my personal journey of going within and finding that, going into women's spirituality and then embodiment. Long story short, moving to Sacramento, excuse me. That's where I was last 6 months. But back in the Bay Area, but to San Francisco. And then going deeper into the feminine essence with the leadership program. Also cultivating that in a licensed teacher in that and a coach, and then diving into like what was calling in. Like I was feeling there's a deeper pulse, and I was guided to master's in women's spirituality, which is like pretty much a master's in priestessing, right? So I have a graduate degree, and that was it. It's like the three before were like kind of a guide to that, right? And like a journey towards it. But when I sat in there, I was like, this is the right one. So with that, like really helping women deepen their connection to their essence, their magic, their intuition, their sacred sexuality, its embodiment. It was all kind of unfolding and unfurling at the same time. I was coming undone in some places as a transformative work. So that's been a major dance. And I remember doing apologize for the little beeps, but like the dance of wanting to really own the goddess spirituality. Like, what does that look like? It's kind of like been in the background, and we're on this dance of really rebirthing, as you know, and really midwiving the divine feminine, the sacred feminine, and the last couple of years, women really stepping up and owning that places of realizing that for us to really be whole in our own world and our own women's leadership, we must release the androcentric view, which is male-centric, to more of a holistic view and embodying and cultivating that sacred feminine, the sacred and divine feminine within us. So that's where I am. And also offering priestessing. Like I'm a priestess activator, and in your work, you know, you're priestessing.
I remember when you came down to Julian, where we were staying, we had like the most incredible healing session. Like it was just unbelievable. Do you remember that? It was
yes, I remember that. It's pretty beautiful and intense and powerful. This potency of that, the dance of that healing and wholeness, like owning. It was a ritual. It was all a ritual, and it was a ceremonial connection for you. It was like blessing you into the truth of who you are.
Absolutely. And like now I'm like so obsessed with ceremony and ritual and all of that kind of stuff. So it was just, but at that point, like I hadn't really felt connected to it, and I needed to have that. I needed you to hold the space for that. And that was the other thing I would say that I love about working with you is like you are such an incredible space holder for whatever needs to unfold and develop. And I think that's a credit to all of the work and experience you've done on yourself and all the studies that you've done throughout your lifetime, because there is an energy of being in your presence that kind of gives a lot of permission to just allow what needs to come through to come through.
Oh, thank you. I'm taking that in my heart.
It's wonderful too, because you were in Sacramento. Like we did meet once, but the majority of the work was online. So it's amazing the kind of magic that can happen just through the internet, like I just really love that about where we are in our day and age, because the kind of transformation that I experienced working with you was really all over the internet, and that's powerful. And just for the people watching that maybe think that they need to work with somebody one-on-one in person, you definitely do not have to.
I love it. Yeah. And I'll speak into it. Is one of the things is because we're pulsating in your own environment, in your own sacred space. You're doing work from like your home or from your business or from office. This is now your energy that we can energetically, vibrational, like frequency that is being pulsed, not only within you, but in your sacred space. Because as you know, that what we bring that in to our work. And I feel that that is the potency of working with the vibrational of the frequency of online, right? And in its high form.
So what is a sacred feminine healing arts practitioner?
So first of all, like the energy of sacred, right? Calling in the energy of sacred is so potent in what we are emerging into, realizing that in our world, we are not in that connection. So first of all, the connecting to the sacred is connecting back into our essence. And the source. There's so much out there that we're pseudo-sourcing from, right? So pseudo-sourcing can look like differently for different people. So the sacred feminine arts, healing arts, the healing is wholeness. Healing is this container, right? Bringing in the container of that we are saying yes to be fully who we are. And many times we have to shed old layers, like you shared. And for me, how it comes through me is coming into the sacred feminine. And even if you're, if we're talking about gender, which is not a gender conversation, we're talking about the sacred feminine. It's a lot grander and bigger in the sense of that whatever gender you are, whether you're male or female, in between, you can tap into the sacred feminine. It's a powerful essence that has been underdeveloped and has kind of been stuffed down in many ways. And for me, the sacred feminine arts healer, I say it differently depending on what words want to come forth, but is all about healing that in ourselves in a way that is an empowering, coming back into our true power. And I'll do that in different ways. The sacred arts, I also speak into like our magic, using tools that help us connect to intuition, our soul, our connection to spirit. I use particularly like different astrological tools to do that. I use tarot, I use oracle cards, I use pendulums, I use shaman stones, I use sound, vibration. So there's many tools that we can connect to that as we're connecting to them as sacred, right? They dance within us, right? Like we're even sharing how we're using the computer as sacred. So it is a container. And for my work is creating that container for people to go into the depth of who they really are and witnessing their soul so that their soul can emerge into their powerful beingness, and we emerge into our best self. But that is within the dance of every day, right? So as a practitioner is again the practice, so that we understand that to hold that space, we also have to dance as a practitioner, having your own practice, having your own connection, having your own personal dance. And then how does that come into play with who shows up, right? So there is that definitely witnessing and reverence in who shows up, and trusting that divine orchestration, as I say, divine guidance through that. So I'm giving you a larger perspective, and because it is a sacred feminine, it's part of priestessing. And the priestess, as there is definitely shamaness women, witchy women, where there are healers and many different aspects of holding that energy or the magic and the mystery. But what makes a priestess specifically the priestess is that she's doing it specifically for the divine feminine. She's specifically channeling and bringing in the energy of the divine feminine. And there's that powerful vehicle. Our body is temple, and spirit and source divine, our own personal divine, comes sourcing through us, is the part of the healing, part of that work, part of that container, so that then it becomes very unique to who you're working with, while the essence itself is bigger and larger and grander. And I loved in that dance one of the things that is so important is having the embodiment place, having the root connected back to our root, like, your womb, the womb is, and also our whole sacral bowl. So all that which is in sacral that we have been, the sacred arts is bringing that back in, the sacred feminine arts back in, so that we can be working with sacred arts and still not be tuned in fully. So let's bring that piece in, which is the foundational, is our foundation, our grounding of the feminine grounded being, our embodiment, ensoulment, like I like to hear saying. So there's layers and levels of dancing to reconnecting to your essence. And that looks differently for each woman, but there's such a beauty and joy in returning. There's deep love and appreciation and acknowledgement to that dance. So that, as a practitioner, holds space and witnesses that for someone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so beautiful. And I love the embodiment piece too, because that's something that really makes it real too. It really manifests it. It brings it into the body. There's like a solidity, a grounding, something that happens that, at least for me, because I had done a lot of spiritual work before, and it's kind of all up here, and you have an overactive mind, like I do, like a strong analyzer. You get wrapped up in, is this real? Is this not real? Like, am I imagining this? And invalidating your experience from the mind space, because, it could totally be happening. But, when you're wrapped up in your mind and you're not embodying that, the entire essence of it, it's really easy to invalidate yourself. And then when you invalidate yourself, you sort of dismiss it, and then you're kind of back into that loop of feeling lost and disconnected and everything. And so for me, the embodiment piece that we worked on together was so powerful, because it made it real for me, right? Like, it made me feel like, okay, if my body can feel this, then there's something here. It's not my head playing tricks on me or whatnot.
Right.
And so that's just so powerful. And I think a lot of people don't realize how important that piece is in spirituality, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So bring that.
And I know the dance coming back into the body in that way, and our body, like saying my body, like our body is not always easy one, right? Because of our past experiences of what has been done to us, or embodiment, that looks different for different people. But the more that you do, the more there's a deeper love and healing through that process of owning that you are the one that is taking up in your own temple, and releasing old people's thoughts, feelings, emotions, pains from what, other people's energy that has put on you in whatever form. And so the embodiment piece is key to really diving deep into owning and bringing forth your divine feminine. And that is a continual dance, right? Because you don't do it once and then it's done. It's, you continue to go back to that, continue to that. And that's where the juicy, the sensuousness is. The powerful, like you're saying, it makes it real.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your deeper knowing gets accessed.
So for people watching, like, when I started working with you, I knew that I was missing this feminine piece. Like, I just, for some reason, I don't even know how, but I just kept hearing it. Like, it just became a message that came to me over and over and over again, which is why I sought out, somebody to help me bring that into my life. But for those who are watching that maybe aren't as well versed in, the new age spirituality concepts, words, things, why would a woman want to embrace more of the divine feminine? What does that do for the everyday woman?
That's a great question. And I'll go back to, like, even what you shared about something is missing. Like, you're going towards, like, success from a mental place, or rulers that are not really aligned, and that doesn't bring in the feminine. So it looks like, you have maybe or maybe not, you're like going to work, you're in your mind, you're doing mental, you're having like goals and, strategies and stuff, but it doesn't really bring in the whole person or the true fulfillment. And I feel like even successful women that I've worked with, is successful in like numbers, or successful on a bar that does not really contain this piece. They're still feeling disconnected, feeling there's something within them, again, is still missing. Like, so if you're feeling and you keep doing it and you're losing energy, because this also creates, I'm getting guidance, so give me a moment. There's a disbelief about the power of the feminine when talking about this. So the word disbelief came into what the essence, what will bring you deeper joy and fulfillment, is coming back into this space, and also bringing it out to the world, so that you're pulsing from a deeper essence. And why, again, whether you're in career or relationships, family, if you're not tuned into this piece, you're bouncing from the head. And also, people are connecting more to the heart, which is really good. And I feel, not everyone, but, dancing, coming into the heart, it's like, if you're coming fuller to the deep of your core, you're actually more in your feminine power. Your feminine, you're working with your lower power essence, your power systems, so that you then feel like you're saying invalidated, like where you kind of look out in the world and still feel invalidated. Our deep value comes from being embodied in our deeper. It's like it strengthens our self-esteem. Mm-hmm. Deeper appreciation in who your own wisdom, listening to your inner guidance system, and you don't disown your power when you're more dancing with this, because now you're in your fullness. Mm-hmm. And it looks more beautiful in a relationship, right? When you're relating, when you're more in your essence, and in your essence, the feminine is the source. And then also we have the sacred masculine that holds space for that. So then it brings into right order. Mm-hmm. And as we see, there's so much out in the world that are unhealed and unbalanced, masculine and feminine. The more women deepen this connection, the more you're actually going to heal the world. So there's whatever doorway you want to come in, it's what's really, I feel, and I know from my experience and seeing people, is really what's going to emanate and really make the true change. So you're not continue to fight against things or fight for things. It's more like you're embodying it. You're being it. So this deeper presence coming into your feminine essence, it's like you don't need now other people to validate you, right? Or looking for outside of yourself for love. And that's another thing that happens, especially for women when they're not connected to this source. They are looking outside of themselves to like for beauty, even like enhancing, doing things to their face and stuff, because they're not connected to their true source. And that's a whole lot of conversation, because I'm a face reader. Also, specifically what you're doing, you're creating, you're really creating karma, and also you're getting more away from your true essence, and you will never feel fulfilled. You will never feel satisfied, and you will never feel fully loved in a sense of your own love if you're really not tapping it. And what some women do it naturally. It's who they are, right? So it's not that everybody has to do embodiment exercises in a sense, but there's so much about owning and coming into your essence, like your womb and the magic of your womb, your whole sacral creative source. That's another thing, is you're now tapping into this creative source that continues to regenerate. And many people are also experiencing stress and loss of energy in so many forms. If we're coming back to this generative place, the more that you can regenerate, right? And
absolutely, I
know for me, even like your youthfulness, right? Because it's, again, we're regenerating. Many people don't realize, say that I look younger than my age, and that's because what has been normalized and what is natural can be disconnected. Another thing that I'll speak into is regulating your menstrual cycles, and how I speak into the womb. As like a lower heart. We have the upper heart, this pumping, and our womb is like the lower heart, the deeper beat, our deeper pulse. And it has a rhythm with the moon, as we know. There's a moon connection, even if it's not on the same moon cycle, because it's dynamic. It's our spiritual, emotional, intuitive evolution connecting to our womb and our creative source, and also the moon cycles. So it helps us retap into a larger natural cycles that really can support us and we're being held through life, our journey. And another reason with that is that without that disconnection, with the disconnection to your sacral, like, there's so many reasons why you want to do that. But I was talking about the moon cycles. Okay, the menstrual cycles. There is this powerful time when you have active moon cycles. You're actively connecting to spirituality. You're learning and embodying the mother / goddess energy, embodying the queen, the empress. How you show up, people are going to treat you from that space of embodiment. There's a deeper respect for yourself. And when you close the cycle of an active moon cycle and then you go into menopause, as they say, you'll become more the opportunity is becoming more integrative. So now the wisdom is embedded, is integrated. It's how you show up. And we're so disconnected to aging and that space because of, like all the hot flash, all those things that they're saying. I know it's because it's a disconnection to their feminine essence in whatever form, in their paradigms, in their consciousness, how, their matriarchal lines have been disconnected. And it's about re-owning and reconnecting. And then you become now one with the lunar cycles, right? So now you're in the potency of dancing the power of the wisdom, the deeper wisdom, a presence for others. So there are different ways, whatever reasons you want to bring in. There are many.
Yeah. Many to count. There's like just a million wonderful reasons why embodying your divine feminine essence is so helpful. You got the age, you got your menstrual cycles, calling in your beloved, right? Success in just out in the world, how you show up in the world, how you parent, right? There's just so many different amazing reasons. And even just to talk about the moon cycles, if that's the only thing that you tap into, how incredibly potent and healing that can be. It really was for me, because I had never tracked my cycle before. I didn't even really, I knew there was a full moon, I knew there was a new moon, but that was pretty much it. I didn't correspond them with what was happening within my own moon, within my cycle, and I didn't really have any of that information or even awareness around that. And then the simple just act of tuning into what's happening with La Luna, with, Grandma Moon, changed my life for me, and I like to use grandmother instead of mother because I've had bad experiences with my mother, so I have lots of mother wounds. So for me, it was a little bit easier to go in the grandmother way. That's how I kind of approach the divine feminine, is more from that crone space, rather than the mother space, because there's still work for me around that. But just having that information and knowledge and knowing when that comes up has just been huge, just for me, and also for my partner, for my husband. It's given him a lot more permission to be masculine and to be really in his sacred masculine, the more that I'm in my sacred feminine. And so it just creates a lot more balance in life as well.
Right. You're honoring your true essence, your essence in that way. And, it brings even more pleasure, connection. I also want to say that you start speaking more with communion, sacred communion, your truth, your there's more juiciness also around that. And I also use grandmother moon and grandfather moon, and I'll use them as that, again, they're like elders. So they're helping hold then the healing, the wholeness in that space. And I use more Mother Earth. So then she's like our mother. We can tune into Mother Earth as that mother space, because it's like, so it's closer.
Yeah.
Right. As you're seeing also a vision of the Luna, La Luna, in a way that is something we go towards, that we feel held, is ancient, that we can trust her rhythms and her cycles. Always, always constant, consistent, being held in that activates and also heals so many wounds, like you're saying.
Absolutely.
That so that we're also blessing how many people have been disconnected, and those acts, acting out from a disconnection from spirituality, the spirit, and the sacred. So we're helping in our own dance first and foremost, and how we do that.
I love it. I mean, it makes a lot of sense too, just from a mental space of, when we work on ourselves and we really bring divinity within, then divinity can express itself without, right? And throughout however we're interacting with life. And so I just feel like the magic that you hold and cultivate is just so powerful. And I love how it's just so different for every woman. Like what is the right medicine for me might not be the right medicine for somebody else, but there is the right formula, right?
Right. Absolutely.
And that's there's no one size fits all kind of thing.
No.
And that's why
it shapeshifts for you. It's very unique.
Yeah.
And we get to own that uniqueness of what we need, and allowing ourselves to know that and call it in, or call it in so that we can know it.
And that just brings me back to the memory where all of a sudden, we had called in, I forget, I don't know if it was, we were working on the inner witch or what, but all of a sudden I started messaging you, and I was like, all these spells are coming out of me. I didn't even know that I could do this. And I was just I have a whole journal of just magic spells that came out of me while working with you. And I was I'm holy shit, I'm a witch. I can make spells. It was so
I know. I remember also before you even started that, I kept seeing this, it was a journal. It was a scroll type of journal that had ancient wisdom in it. I was I'm seeing this around you, right? And you were I don't know. Yes, you did. And also you just started doing it. And it just was coming through you. I was yes, this is the magic. This is so many layers, so multidimensionally, how you were you were tuning into that multidimension to access our power, our eternal divinity, and you did it so beautifully.
Well, and it was crazy because I would have never considered myself like this. Now I'm out of the broom closet. I'm a witch. Who I am. But even a year ago, I wouldn't even think that in my head. It was just not a reality. And so it's amazing how with the right medicine, doors unlock, and it's as if it had always been, even though it was the furthest thing from your reality at that time. So that's what I think I love magic because of that, it's so amazing.
And how and you seem so joyful, and it just emanates from you, right? It's oh, I love this stuff. It's who you are, right? And you're the essence. So it's hard to go back, right? Because you're sourcing from that space. It's a fountain, it's a wellspring of magic. And it'll continue to channel through you in the way that you continue to dance with it.
Absolutely.
So,
I can't even imagine going back, because I was just very lost. I didn't know what to do, and I knew that I had something to do, but I just didn't know. And I felt I was just waiting and hoping that it would fall into my lap, and and it just didn't. And there was just a lot of this internal struggle. And even after working with you, it still took me a good year to really bring this forward, because I was working on the embodiment piece. It took me some time to really get that into my, to really bring that information down and own it and work through all of the blocks and belief systems and things that were really not letting me step into that, you know, because it'd be like I'd step forward and then I'd be like, oh wait, I'm scared, this is too much, and then I'd step forward, and then it was like this back and forth, right? This dance that you were saying that happens. So it's all
Mm-hmm.
right.
Right. And then you unraveling it, right? And I was always like, do you first. Like it's gonna come through you. You just keep going to
Yeah.
this space of coming back within, coming back within. It's gonna come to fruition, come into blossoming in the way that it's meant to. And now you're fully in it.
And so is that a typical experience of the clients that you work with that really start to embrace their divine feminine essence? Do they start to get into that rhythm and then life starts to unfold for them kind of magically the way that it has for me? Is that pretty typical?
I would say it is typical, and well, it's not. I want to say I don't like the word like typical. It's not that it's typical. It's more how much committed you are, and once you have a taste of it, once you continue to have a taste of it, the more you bring it in, the more that it can unfold in your life, right? The more you have a taste of your own essence and the magic, and then trusting and seeing a life with your magic eyes and your experience. I would also say that another thing that many times can happen is women, they are afraid of it. They will sabotage it, right?
Mm.
And we just keep coming back. It's like, okay, keep coming back. This is part of the dance, right? Right? It's because a whole paradigm is shifting, right? And you get to be fully of who you are, and that place that where it was had to be closed off and contained for many lifetimes, for from our own lineage or what we experienced, that had to be closed off, is like letting her out, letting that wholeness of you out. Like there's different layers to that. It takes time, so it depends on how closed you are, like there, or holding it. It's still able to come out and come through the dance, but it depends on how much, I believe. So, but there is definitely understanding that that's part of the transformation. That's part of being fully ensouled and in your essence and embodiment, and that continues to grow, right? As you continue to nurture it and cultivate it, and you start seeing also people's responses, like you said with your partner. Like you even feel how people palpably your own sensitivity of regaining your sensuality and your sensuousness and your heightened sensitivity, in a sense of intuition and knowing and wisdom, so that you're more on the pulse of guidance. So it also helps in supporting your sacred container, so that you're also not taken out by other energy, like other people's emotions and anger. Like if you're empathic, it helps you strengthen the empathic dance too. So it depends on how where you are. Okay, so like what happens also when you're in batting and you're going your sacral, you're helping transmute other people's energy and your own energy to get more of a clear channel, right? So then you can understand, and you can dance in awareness, right? Information, as opposed to it's kind of like you get overwhelmed by a conglomerate energy and not being able to discern. So you allow yourself to get stronger in your discernment, so that you're not taken out by other energies, because you're embodying you, so nothing else really can kind of come in a way that is can cost you. And again, as me, I work with high priestesses, and I'm a high priestess and work with priestesses and bring them into their more into their magic. So like it means then having stronger practices. So and the practices themselves helps in supporting you, so they become more like rituals and magic, and it's like you also, it becomes a part of you. So it's feels things are off when you're not connected to your practices. And these are different types of practices. We're talking, ones that are unique to you, ones we create ourselves, ones that our intuition tells us. They can look different days, but it's like beyond just like saying, well, I have to brush my teeth every day. It's more like what's really going to support you is for your feminine essence to continue to dance and come through you in embodiment. We work with the practices. It's the rituals, the practices that allow us.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so what are your current offerings? If somebody wants to work with you, what are you offering right now in the world?
So it depends if they want to work with me privately or if they want to work with me in a group setting. I'll share my private work is, as you know, I'm in chrysalis. My work is in chrysalis right now. It's in the cauldron, and it was sacred feminine magic mentoring was one part. So we're working more with your magic and your witchiness, and like what are your intuitive gifts, and like face reader, hand analysis. I use all different types of things, and also my intuition and the depth of what comes forth in that space. But that's calling out now to be working my Isis private work, right? Isis is that priestess work. So so that's in the cauldron of working with that space, and we're always working, to embody it. We need to come into different rituals, and then another place if you're working more about love, the deeper love piece of wanting to have more connection to love, self-love, self-healing, relationships, soul partnerships. How does that look like? We're always working with your feminine magic and mystiqueness and things like that. But what I'm called the inner goddess coaching was a little more towards that end, is now Aphrodite. So then I'm working with Aphrodite, right? And then I have three, right? The powerful three. The new one that has shown up for private work is, and because people have been asking that, more career oriented, and it's the business mistress, because the mistress, she is actually, the power of mistress means that you have the keys to your temple, you have a spiritual authority, you own who you are. So depending on what level or avenue, and it's always interwoven, like there's always a web that we're bringing all pieces into the one, but what's the larger container? What's the thing that you want to master or will manifest, bring to fruition? Those are the three containers. So I'm really excited to like what's been unfolding with that, and the women that are being called. And again, I get some women that they want it, and then they kind of have to like take a step back because they know that they're going to go in, which is always fun. It's like, okay, this is what happens. So like, be gentle with yourself and like really listen to what's coming up, because it's part of transformation. And I'm doing a year-long priestess program. I'm right in the middle of it. We're going into winter phase. We're closing autumn and winter, and that's a priestess power path program. But next year, what is unfolding, instead of having the year-long, I want to have 2 levels, and it's the sensuous priestess, level 1 and level 2, and this is more embracing. And that embracing is level 1, the feminine power presence, through pleasure, really like coming into the priestess principles, practices, from the sensuousness space. I'm bringing that into my year-long, but it's more specific. I'm going to go into that space on level 1, and that starts in the springtime in March 22nd. Of course, 22 is a powerful number. 2 is the priestess in tarot, and also in the numerology. And then level 2 will be in the fall. So that is if you're wanting to do more group programming. It's online, and also we have a big retreat too that we come together. So that's been unfolding. Yeah, I'm like, that's been designing, and I've been channeling that. And then I also have the Mistress of the Moon Sacred Circle. I've been working it with my priestesses. They're coming into circles. There's different levels. So this piece about coming into the moon magic, coming back into the rhythms of moon, she is so supportive in this energy of bringing back the feminine essence and our magic, and like, the witchiness and the womb space, and coming to our deeper creative purpose. So I have the Mistress of the Moon Sacred Circles online circle, and doors are opening on the 22nd of this month. And 22 is a powerful number, and also it's the moon in Cancer. And the moon, Cancer is ruled by the moon. So that's when the doors are opening for more of a public space. So I'm really excited that that information is going to be coming out soon. So that's next week. ahead of like, like just before the winter solstice, which is a powerful time. So I'm unveiling that. So those are my work. I hope that answers your question.
So many amazing and fun things to get involved with. It sounds like your 2019 is going to be just blessings. Like, it just sounds amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, me too. I just thank you for saying that, Alex. It's a pleasure. And it's all serving, feminine essence in ourselves. And I talk about devotion, right? The devotion is within yourself. If we are devotion to our divinity, we are being devotional to the divine, right? And how we steward that is through love and pleasure and, serving ourselves in that space. Actually, I think that you'll be, I think, unveiling this before I open the doors to my full group. So I would love to give a beautiful discount for your ladies or your tribe, your womb tribe, witch and womb tribe, 22% off, right, of the memberships, and also for the priestess program. And that's until January 11. So it's 1/11. So it's a big timing, right? We have the numbers are so powerful, what we tune into, right? How we manifest. So
absolutely. Oh, yay. That's so exciting. Okay, I can't wait to share that with all of the viewers. They're going to love that. But I know that you have prepared a special rain stick womb meditation for all of us in a reading.
Yes.
So we can experience some of your magic, just to close the circle.
Yes.
Yay. I'm so excited, you guys. It's such a treat.
So I have my a rain stick that was gifted to me by my sister. She also works with shaman and shaman energy, so it's pretty, it's blessed. And we're speaking a lot about the moon magic and allowing ourselves to activate our moon energy, the shimmering world. And we are in the moon of Pisces right now, and Pisces also, in like the tarot deck, it rules the moon card. Pisces is this last water sign of the moon before we go into the winter. So we can really come into this energy of rain and the shimmering, as Pisces can also be about the mist, and the mist is our magic. So it's feeling that in, allowing ourselves to just gently close our eyes, right? Just to feel this energy of what the mist can really bring to us, and our energy of physical magic. Taking a deep breath, really bringing your breath down into your heart space. Down through your belly, down into your womb space. Allowing this energy to travel down your legs, down to your feet. Let your feet feel the ground, this feminine ground of being from Mother Earth that goes into your space, my space, and the space in between. Calling her natural sanctuary and sacred space. As I call in the rains from this sound, just a gentle sound. Letting yourself to continue to breathe. So we call in this shimmering world of the moon, this moon in Pisces that helps us activate our magic. Breathing deeply. Feeling your belly rise and drop with every breath, calling in your feminine essence. the essence of the womb. We close and complete this magical time and ceremony, remembering our waters. Our womb holds the energy of water, allowing the waters to nurture you, cleanse you, replenish you on a deep soul level. In the mist, just breathing, allowing, receiving, imagining the raindrops washing over you, and pooling underneath you, reflecting the moon, the shimmering light of the moon. She is in her quarter phase. The horns of the moon of attunement, so that you may be attuned to your essence, your feminine essence. Feeling the deeper pulse, sounds, and the callings, the divine feminine within you. Gently bringing your chin down towards your heart, really tuning into your inner world. Your heart center, your womb space. Allowing that to activate your magic eyes, your third eye, also receptive, feminine energy. Placing your left hand on your heart and your right hand on your womb. Letting yourself feel this moment, this presence, this perfection. His radiance. Gently now crossing over a little more and hugging yourself. So hugging your belly, your womb, and your shoulders, hugging your heart, embracing. As you continue your journey of embracing you. And with that, senses come back into your body as you prepare yourself to come back into this space together with us. in your feet, throughout your body, shoulders, head straight up, meeting the sun, the moon, and life. To see you as a priestess needs to be seen and witnessed for her magic. May you be seen for yours. Thank you, Alex, for having me.
Oh my gosh,
Whenever
wow.
you're ready, join me.
Thank you so much, Marcela, for your time today and for just giving us that beautiful womb meditation. That was really beautiful. And I'm so happy that people got to experience your magic and your medicine because it's so healing for me. I'm happy I got to experience it. All right.
Thank you, Alex.
Well,
It's been amazing.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for watching today. You can contact Marcela through sacredfemininemedicine.com, and I will put the links down below. And if you're not already a member of the Witch and Womb Coven, please go ahead and join, and then you can stay up to date on all of our offerings and our interviews and our magic. So we'll see you next time, witches. Bye. Thank you.